Hello, how are you doing? It's Monique here, and I have something super cool to share with you. It's from a client, someone that I coach into keeping in the wish fulfilled when it comes to her SP. And as someone once told me, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So know that whatever it is that you want to manifest, be it a person, be it a job, be it a new house, be it whatever, if you have seen it and you get certain signs, and that's why I'm reading you this email, because you know from the signs and from the things that happen outside that the seed has been planted. And then the thing for you to do is stop taking action and stop putting your finger in the pie to see if it's ready. And we've all done that. But with this list, I call it the trust the process of SP list. With this list, you will see and prove to yourself that actually you're doing all the right things, you're on the right path. You just need to tweak a little here and there, and mostly it is just let it go. But okay, let me read to you what she wrote me. It's going to be pretty long, but I trust that this is really helpful for you. I won't mention her name, obviously, and thank you so much for letting me share this with everyone, because we're in this together, and with stuff like this, we can help each other. So, the first thing that happened after they split, his phone automatically called me without him doing anything. He told me that when I messaged him the next day. I also told her and asked her, I said, okay, what did you do to make this manifestation happen? So what happened was, she was at the time walking somewhere feeling really crappy because it was just, they had just split up, and she just started with this whole conscious creation thing on the path of Neville. And she was doing affirmations and things, and she was not feeling good. She was like, oh, I'm just repeating this, but it's not true. So what happened was that she said, he calls me, so-and-so calls me. She dropped it immediately. I dropped it completely because I didn't think it was possible. And what happened was really the same evening that happened, which is crazy. So the trick was, I dropped it completely because I didn't think it was possible. So take note of that. The second thing she manifested is helping him with some stuff of mine that he still had. Then we had a lovely walk. We had a lovely night walk in the woods, and there were some magical happenings in the woods together with him. And then after they departed, they gave each other a super long hug, and it felt super intense and close and beautiful. And what did she do to create it? She didn't really know, but the hug was something that she had been imagining. Now, as a side note, Joseph Ally says this in one of his videos, that if you create different things the whole time and you manifest them, they're not necessarily a sign of you getting married to someone or getting your SP back. Only if it's related to one certain end scene that you have. So if this hug is part of a bigger picture, which is part of the end scene of being back together again, yes. But when you focus on getting text messages, they don't necessarily have to do with you getting back together with your SP. So keep that in mind. Okay, the third thing, well, there were actually third and fourth and fifth random text messages, and he was sending me funny stuff. And keep in mind, they weren't in touch at that time. He was just randomly sending through things through WhatsApp. And what was the trick? According to her, she was affirming, she says, me affirming things that made me feel really beautiful, loved, and joyful. I was in a super happy space in that time. And what I would say often when I would receive one of his messages was, welcome back, baby. Welcome back, baby. Welcome back. So keep that in mind as well. Then what else? Oh, yeah. Okay, I can't really go into detail too much with this. She got a super funny message when she was on a holiday. The trick was she felt really good in that time period. She had a bit of a setback with regards to a couple of other things, so she wasn't really focused on him. And she was doing meditations, like super short meditations of Neville's first principle, which is be still and know that I am God. And she wasn't necessarily doing anything that had to do with him getting back because she was focused on different things. And then she got a really funny message from him. She messaged back, kissed with someone else that evening, which didn't really mean anything because she's in love with someone else. She says, I felt really beautiful and confident. And he messaged me again the night after. Then I started to get a bit anxious. Okay, what's the trick? The trick was be still and know that I am God. Okay, so another thing on the list is he messaged her because he received mail that was addressed to him with her name. And this is funny because what happened was she had contacted him shortly before that because she thought things are not moving along. We talked about it. I don't really remember what it was, why you contacted him. I know that you contacted him and nothing really happened in that talk. It was more like she had called him and she felt a bit shitty afterwards. And she thought, oh, why did I do this? Why did I stick my finger in the pie? And then shortly after, he messaged her. So had she not called him, he would have messaged her anyway because of this mail thing. Okay, she met up with him and she left kind of in a rush to go back home. And she felt really gutted. And I immediately released him because I felt so bad. To my surprise, he started messaging me wonderful things that I had been imagining. Like, you inspire me a lot, and we chatted for a while, which hadn't happened in a long time. The trick, I released completely because she felt so unhappy. She completely dropped everything. She thought, you know what, whatever. And what happens? He starts messaging her. Take note. Okay. Then another funny thing happened. So she has a special sound for him when he messages her. And then she was listening to a song. And then in that song, this sound was incorporated. And she felt really joyful and happy about it. And what happened? He messaged her. And what was the trick? Non-attachment, and I was in a joyful and happy state. Then another thing on the list was, yeah, it's a manifestation, all right, but then she initiated because she couldn't wait for him to contact her. He needed her for something and she was waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and he didn't contact because what do you get when you create waiting, or you feel like you're waiting, you create more waiting. So she couldn't stand it anymore. She, again, put her finger in the pie, and I'm laughing because, you know, we've been there, done that. So don't take it personally. Yeah, so she met up with him, and it was a mixed eve of hot and cold. And he left in a not so nice way, like he was very cool and cold. I was in pain and sad. I got back on the horse shortly after, but after deleting all his contact details because I just couldn't do it anymore. So, yeah. Then I think these are kind of mixed up, but wait. Oh, yeah. She ran into him. And it was a day that, of course, I think about him daily. I needed to exchange some clothes, and I needed to make a telephone call, an important telephone call. But since my phone was almost empty, I needed to find a cafe where to do this. I was in his area and didn't want to force things, so I said and spoke to my higher self, I will find the perfect cafe to make the call and charge my phone. And then she ran into him. And she told me, because it was so out of the blue, unexpected, and she was feeling really good that day, which is actually part of the trick. She was really happy and joyful. She says, I was happy and joyful, felt beautiful and inspired. So there was no, she wasn't feeling uncomfortable. The talk was really nice. They had a lot of fun. And he was truly happy to see her, and vice versa. And like there was no attachment, it just felt good and natural. Okay. Then, oh yeah. So I wished for his contact details back because she deleted the contact details. And what happens was this. There were actually two things that happened. A mutual friend of ours had messaged me and him in a groups app. And now I had his phone number again. But that was not all, because he also messaged me to ask me for something. So I had his number again, which made me laugh, because there were two instances, like through two ways she got his number. Then, because of the random running into him, she felt inspired to send him an email. And you have to figure out for yourself, yeah, if it's inspired action or if it's, again, sticking your finger in the pie. She felt inspired to message him, and he kept saying, it was so funny to run into you. It was so funny to run into you. And she was so annoyed by that at one point she said, you know what? I'm just done with this. I don't feel like putting more effort in this. I'm just going to completely release it. And what do you think happened? He messaged her that he wanted to see her again. What was the trick? The trick was inspired action, sending an email and releasing it. So again, the releasing is like recurring thing. We already know it, but it's good to write it down, and to write down what the trick was, because you know how you manifested something if you track it back. Okay, so he wanted to see her. She was over the moon. And I answered a bit too quickly. And it felt that it came from neediness and wanting it to happen now. So really good awareness on your part. Because if we know from what state we do things, we also know from what state we will do things the next time. So the next time, I'm pretty sure that you will wait, and that you will wait and first get into a calm state. And then when you feel beautiful, confident, and all the other things, then you will answer. So the date, it was a mix of hot and cold, which was of course my manifestation. I felt very anxious and unloved. I cried a couple of times and I was afraid that he would stand me up. Yeah, shit happens. We already talked about it. It's no biggie. The point of power is now. You can revise, and I know you did that. And when you revise, different things advance into the future. So it's just part of the process. No biggie, seriously. And also, you know how they say that sometimes things get worse before they get better. And they will get a bit worse. You will see. What else did I manifest? I manifest him working at a chain where I also come often. Was there anything else that's interesting to share? Yeah, the last thing then. So the last thing is she asked him for help with something and he said no, he doesn't want to help. So what does this say? This says, don't interfere in the middle. Don't interfere in the process. Have faith that it's a done deal. Live in the end constantly. Just live in the end. Everyone will play their part, even if it takes 1,000 people. Everyone will play their part in you having your wish fulfilled. So the only thing that there is for you to do, stay calm, have faith, have trust, and focus also on other things, not only your SP. Yeah. Like what I get from this story and what I know from my own experience is that when you're in a state of surrender and a releasing, and that can be triggered by, oh, never mind, or I've got this, like both are completely letting go. The never mind can cause a chain of events, a bridge of events that are not so favorable, but who cares, because it's still a bridge of events, as long as they lead to the wish fulfilled. And the I've got this leads to a more smooth bridge of events that lead to the manifestation. Yeah, so the thing is, be in a joyful state, do things that make you happy, do things that make you feel good, and make this list, because it helps you to have faith. It proves to you that the seed is planted. It proves to you that you can't mess with the middle. And Neville says that all the time, and everyone that is teaching Neville's teachings says it. Don't mess with the middle. Go straight to the end. The middle is not your job. It's God's job. It's your Father's job. So I have faith that this helps you. It's a long one, but I guess it's good when it's good information. So see you back in here soon, and I wish you a beautiful day. Bye.